The polished oak dining table gleamed under the chandelier's light as laughter erupted around it, sharp, mocking, and aimed directly at me. My sister Sarah leaned back in her designer dress, swirling wine in her glass while her eyes flicked over me, like I was nothing more than a stain on her pristine evening. "She's just a waitress," she announced, her voice dripping with mockery, loud enough for everyone including her husband Daniel to hear. Forks froze midair. My chest tightened as heat rushed to my face, but I forced myself to sip water calmly, refusing to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. Daniel smirked, clearly enjoying the spectacle. "A waitress, huh? Guess some people never outgrow mediocrity?" He chuckled, leaning back like he owned the world. The room vibrated with suppressed chuckles and whispered judgment. I set my glass down slowly, my voice even but sharp enough to slice through the smug air. "Better a waitress than a parasite living off his wife's family money," I said. The color drained from Daniel's face for a flicker of a second before he forced a laugh. But the tension was already there, crawling across the table like smoke. Sarah's face hardened. "Don't talk about him like that," she hissed, her knuckles tightening around her glass. "We all know what you are. You scrape plates, take orders, and survive off tips. You should be grateful you're even sitting here with us." The room fell silent, eyes bouncing between us, the tension thick enough to choke on. My nails dug into my palm under the table, but I didn't flinch. I wanted to say more to crush her smug little smirk, but before I could, before the venom boiling in my chest spilled out, heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway. The dining room door swung open. He walked in tall, commanding, the kind of presence that made air bend around him. My husband Ethan. His tailored suit was midnight black, his silver watch glinting under the chandelier as he slipped off his coat and handed it to the stunned house staff. Conversations died instantly. Daniel's smirk faltered. Sarah's confidence cracked into confusion. Ethan's gaze swept the table cold, sharp, powerful, and then it landed on me. And in that moment, everyone finally understood he wasn't just any man, because the man they thought was a mystery in my life was the billionaire no one dared cross. And what he did next left every single one of them speechless. Ethan's shoes clicked against the marble floor with a rhythm that made Sarah's bravado evaporate. The dining room, seconds ago buzzing with laughter and arrogance, was now silent. Every breath caught midair. Sarah's smirk twisted into something brittle as she forced a laugh. "Oh, you finally decided to join us." Her tone wavered, not the same confidence she'd used when mocking me. Ethan didn't even glance at her. His eyes stayed locked on mine, softening just slightly, as if he wanted the world to know who truly mattered at that table. Then, with quiet authority that carried more weight than any raised voice, he leaned down and pressed a kiss to my forehead. The dining room erupted in whispers. Daniel's smirk vanished. His wine glass clinked against the table as his fingers trembled slightly, and I saw it. The first fracture in his carefully curated arrogance. Sarah's face froze, her jaw tightening. Ethan straightened, turned his head slowly toward her, and spoke with razor-sharp precision. "Funny," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "A moment ago, I heard you call my wife just a waitress." He let the word hang like poison in the air. "Do you have any idea what she's survived, what she's built, or what she means to me?" The weight of his words pressed down on the table. No one dared to speak. Daniel cleared his throat, trying to recover, his voice thin. "We were just joking, Ethan." "Don't take it so joking." Ethan cut him off, his jaw tightening. "There's no joke in belittling someone because they chose honest work. You sit there living off money you didn't earn, and you mock the one person in this room who's had the courage to work for every single thing she has." His gaze burned into Daniel, and Daniel actually shifted in his seat like a schoolboy caught lying. My heart hammered in my chest. I'd spent years swallowing insults, pretending not to notice when my family ranked me lowest, letting them chip away at me. And now, someone stood beside me, not just anyone, but a man whose power commanded entire industries. And he was defending me with a fire none of them could extinguish. Sarah's voice cracked through the silence, sharp but nervous. "You can't speak to us like that. This is our home, Ethan." Ethan's lips curved into a cold smile. "Guest?" His hand brushed against my shoulder as he leaned slightly forward, his tone like ice. "I'm never a guest where my wife is disrespected. And let me make one thing clear. You may call this your home, but you live under a roof you didn't buy. You eat food you didn't pay for. Everything around you, from the table you're sitting at to the car you drove in, was propped up by borrowed wealth and false pride. The only real strength in this room is sitting right here. He nodded to me and my breath caught in my throat. The silence deepened. The staff, lingering at the edges of the room, avoided eye contact, but couldn't hide their stolen glances of awe. Sarah's hand shook slightly as she reached for her wine glass. "You don't know what you're talking about," she muttered, though her voice had lost all weight. Ethan tilted his head, studying her like a man examining a broken piece of glass. "No, I know exactly what I'm talking about. You spent years mocking your own blood, but now you've made the mistake of doing it in front of me, and believe me, I don't forget." Daniel finally tried to salvage some pride. He leaned forward, forcing a smirk. "You think money makes you powerful? You think your suits and your name give you the right to humiliate us?" Ethan's chuckle was soft, almost amused, but it carried more menace than any anger. "No," he said, his eyes narrowing. "Respect does, loyalty does, love does, and unfortunately for you, Daniel, those are things you wouldn't recognize if they sat across from you." A long pause hung heavy in the air. Then Ethan turned back to me, his tone softening only for me. "You don't have to stay here," he said quietly, almost tenderly. "You don't have to let them chip away at you anymore." His hand brushed mine under the table, a silent anchor, and for the first time, I felt it, a surge of something stronger than shame, stronger than anger, vindication, power. They'd laughed, they'd mocked, they'd called me less. But in this moment, their fear, their silence, their shattered pride was mine. Sarah's eyes darted around, desperate for someone to back her up. No one moved. Daniel opened his mouth, then shut it, his tongue stuck between words and cowardice. Ethan finally stepped back, his voice even. "Final, this dinner is over. If my wife isn't respected in this house, then neither am I. And trust me, you'll want me respected." His words dropped like a verdict. He extended his hand toward me. Without hesitation, I placed mine in his. We stood together, two against a room full of broken pride and silence. As we walked toward the door, the sound of our footsteps was the only noise. Behind me, I could feel Sarah's world cracking, her power collapsing under the weight of the truth she'd never wanted to face. The woman she mocked was the one holding all the cards now. And that was just the beginning. What happens next? The morning brings a flood of desperate texts from family members begging for forgiveness. Ethan reveals he's been quietly protecting me all along, and now he'll show them exactly what happens when you underestimate the woman they thought they could break.